You spoke recently about Warner Brothers having the rights to distribute the Friday series.
Yeah.
And that's obviously your intellectual property, right? You came up with that movie.
Yep.
The most impactful movie of my entire life. I was talking like Smokey from like age 8 to 12.
My favorite. That's my favorite movie. One of my favorites. Of
I know
all
that
time.
entire movie by heart. Like it's bad. Like I could recite it when I watch it. I watched it so much as a kid. By the way, top 3 soundtrack ever too.
Oh yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. One
One of the best soundtracks ever. Would you say, because you're somebody who's been revolutionary in so many ways, is that what lessons did you learn from the Friday series and not retaining ownership or not necessarily being in charge of the destination of where it goes? When you're doing movies now, is that something that's front of the mind? Like if you...
No, it's part of the game. When you do a movie, you have to get it distributed. And if you want your movie to be taken, as, high level entertainment, there's only a few houses and studios that can deliver that. So at the time, we didn't have, it wasn't no streaming
Netflix
services.
to
It wasn't
cash you
no
out.
internet.
Hulu.
So we had to assign the movie to New Line to distribute it. Mm-hmm. And New Line is connected with Warner Brothers. So, sometimes when you do one movie with a company, they have the rights to release the sequels. That's part of the deal. And that's the clause that we're caught in. They have the right to release the sequels. And so the way to stalemate is to not release, to do a few and stop. And that's what they did. They did 3 and they stopped. And we've been asking them to get the movie back. Here's why they won't get the movie back. Ride Along, Straight Outta Compton. New Line had both of those movies. They told me both of those movies would not work on a major scale. We took those movies out of Warner Brothers, took them to Universal. So
They worked.
$150 million from Ride Along, $200 million from $250 from Straight Outta Compton.
Mm-hmm.
So we really embarrassed
Embarrassed them.
So they was like, man, you really embarrassed us on that. You know what I mean? Like, damn. So we was like, man, y'all don't believe in us, so give us the shit back. And they like, we can't give you another movie back because I'll get fired, So it was on that tip. They didn't want to be embarrassed, so they didn't want to let Friday go.
Yeah, as a fan, I always just assumed Chris Tucker was just not wanting to do it because after the third one, it was like, okay, if they do a fourth, Smokey got to come back.
Yeah.
And obviously, rest in peace to John Witherspoon.
Yeah. Tiny Lister passed. A.J. Johnson.
There's some very big parts of that universe that have passed.
Yeah, man. And that's why I hate Warner Brothers, because they let that happen. We could have shot those movies way before those guys passed away. I'll never forgive Toby Emmerich and the guys that was running the show at the time.
Faison Love.
Because they let guys pass away who was counting on this movie.
Yeah, and that universe fed a lot of dude, I remember you would just go to the Monster Dub show and Tiny Lister would be just there with his bike, taking pics.
I think it was his most recognizable character.
Oh, of course, one of the most recognizable characters ever.
He embraced being called Debo.
First, what?
If you say that's not his name, but you.
I feel
Debo.
like that's also
people call you Craig.
Yeah,
it's like a verb. You could be like, yo, I Debo'd him. You know what I mean?
Craig when he first met him. Not Ice Cube.
Wait, who called him Craig?
My youngest son. He came to the house, and my youngest son. He's 28 now. He's a little boy. He just Craig.
I mean, the Craig or Nick from Are We There Yet?
Oh man, well, look,
man, that's how young you are.
Okay, yeah.